What smart person did the stupidest thing ever? We are all surrounded by intelligent people, and we frequently expect them to be flawless. We mostly rely on them in difficult situations, which they handle admirably. But they can also make mistakes. They may not know the most basic things. This may come as a surprise, but it is true. A master of one trade may not be the jack of all. Today, our Redditors share their stories about smart people doing stupid things. My doctor. During the period of my life in which I was dating my ex-girlfriend, my doctor would insist every time I saw him that I needed to be on birth control because it was responsible for preventing pregnancy. No matter how many times I told him that I was in a monogamous relationship with a woman, he would still keep asking. I guess it just didn't compute. He surely did not understand the assignment. Oh, I almost forgot about this one. When I was in my final year of physics at university, we had a professor who would get very irritated at the pull string for the projection screen, as it would dangle down in front of the whiteboard. Every morning, he would spend a good couple minutes attempting to throw the weight on the end of it over the light fixture above the whiteboard, taking anywhere from 5 to 30 tries each time. All the students would give tips and encouragement, and this became kind of an inside joke for the class of how long it would take every morning. Months go by, and one day, near the end of the quarter, we ended up with a substitute. The sub goes to the board and, without hesitation, grabs the string and hooks it over a thumbtack stuck in the cork at the top of the whiteboard. The entire class literally gasped in unison. The sub whirled around, asking what happened. And the whole class just started laughing. Eventually, someone explained what happened, and we all had a good laugh that the entire class of physics majors never even thought of that solution, let alone notice the tack that had always been there for that purpose. That poor man tried so hard. My father would construct a new bladder out of a piece of your own intestinal lining if you had bladder cancer and needed a new one. He saved thousands of lives that would otherwise have been lost to renal, prostate, or urinary tract diseases. He once told me that someone with a bright yellow car was intentionally hitting his Mercedes-Benz. They'd hit his car and sideswiped it once while he was at the hospital. He had it fixed, and it cost thousands of dollars. Then a few weeks later, the same bright yellow vehicle did it again, this time nearly tearing off his fender and leaving a huge yellow gouge down the side of his car. He took it to the body shop a second time. His next visit to the hospital, the parking attendant said, "Hey doc, it's nice to see you, but I have to warn you. Security was here and they're kind of upset about the fire hydrant you've hit twice in the last month. I tried covering for you, but apparently they got it on video." Whoa, doc, that is a huge mistake. You should definitely get your eyes checked. I worked IT at a university. We got a call saying a printer would not turn on. The particular person who called was very stereotypical. I have a doctorate and I know all the things kind of person. Anyway, I get to the classroom and they show me the printer, proclaiming they checked everything, including the power strip, unplugged it, plugged it back in, and all that. They were getting very irate and rude the whole time I was there. While I was looking it over, they were getting more upset because they had already checked the power cables and they were fine. Without saying anything, I unplugged the power strip from itself, plugged it into the wall, and then turned on the printer and just walked out. Serves them right. Not mine, but related to me by my boss about 25 years ago. She was friends with a husband and wife who were brilliant academics. They're highly regarded with research positions at one of the top universities in the country. The couple wanted to have children, but their natural biology and compatibility said, not gonna happen. And they decided to adopt instead from a foreign country, as very few babies are put up for adoption within Australia. The arrangements were that the baby would be flown in with a caregiver and handed over at the airport. All went as planned, no worries. Later that night, my boss received a call from the distraught academic husband. "Louise," changed the name of course, "the baby is crying and we can't get her to stop. We think she's hungry, but she's not taking the bottle." The adoption agency had given them a few basics just in case, one of them being a tin of baby formula. "You're a mother, can you come over and maybe help sort out what the problem is?" "Yes, of course," replies Louise, and is there within 15 minutes. This being a fairly small city on international scales, the wife rushes up when she knocks on the door and escorts her to where the baby is indeed crying like there's no tomorrow and has been for hours. Nappy is dry, nothing else is obviously wrong, she probably is hungry. "Show me how you've been trying to feed her," Louise asks, and the couple comply. Louise observes the process and makes one suggestion. You're actually supposed to mix the powder with water before trying to feed it to the baby. Louise deserves credit for controlling her laughter. I knew a doctor who knew how to log into Windows, then start up his software, log into that, and open his work list. One day, he came to me for help because he couldn't log in. It was on the desktop. I kept launching his software and being like, "You log in here?" And he'd go, "No, the other account." For 10 minutes, we were both slowly getting more and more pissed off at each other because we couldn't figure out what the fuck his problem was. Turned out that someone left his computer logged in the day before and threw off his routine, so he had no idea how to handle it. Once I restarted his computer, he logged into his Windows account. He was then greeted by the same page I'd been agonizing over and went on to log into his software, happy as a clam. The poor man simply didn't know how to deal with a hiccup. Very early in my career, I was tasked with an industrial engineering project on improving efficiency on a high-volume product line. I guarantee you've seen the product. First, during a current state analysis, I determined that the company was losing around 0.8 cents per part shipped. We sold them for 0.29 cents each. That's not good, especially when you're producing millions of these things each month. I presented this to the executive management team. One of the VPs cut me off mid-sentence and said, "Nonsense, we make it up in volume." You sure do. My brother-in-law had a master's degree in physics and maths. He was a teacher at a high school. He had a new house built. He thought he would save money by nailing on the drywall, sheetrock, gibboard. He managed to put nails through a hot water pipe and the wiring. By the time he had paid a plumber and an electrician to fix up the mess, it cost a whole lot more. Later in life, he fell off a ladder and died. Well, that was a sad one. My sister has been driving her boyfriend's truck for a year. We get in the truck to go somewhere. She says, "Wait, I need to go to the house to get a paper towel to dry off the windshield." I say, "Why don't you use the wipers?" She says, "I don't know how." I ask, "What do you do when it rains?" Answer, "I stay home." Stay home, stay safe. Our physics professor once held a remote lecture without turning his Google Meet on, so he just spoke to the computer for 1.5 hours. Oops! Have you ever experienced anything similar in your life? If that's the case, how did you perceive them? Please leave your comments in the section below, and please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.